My name is Mitch Ziegler. I'm a physical therapist, and today we're going to go over an exercise, actually 4 different exercises with this one machine we have behind us, and they're all targeting the hip. So we're going to work the hip flexors, we're going to work the hip abductors, the adductors, and then the glutes or the hip extensors. Okay. This exercise is super important that you maintain stability around the lumbar spine. This exercise in particular, especially when we go into the hip extension exercises, it's really common for people to really extend their back and really arch their back a lot, which is lordosis. And we don't really want that. We want to make sure that it stays pretty neutral in a neutral position. Okay. So one of the ways to do that is we pull our stomachs in and we maintain this this contraction of pulling our stomachs in and maintaining that the whole time. It's transverse abdominis contraction. We just want to keep it in and hold it really strong in the whole time we're doing all of these exercises we're going to perform. Okay. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the exercise, and I'll explain as we go. We have an assistant here, and he's Craig, and he's very fit, and he's volunteered to help us for these exercises. So we're really excited to have Craig here. Thank you very much, Craig, for joining us today. So we've kind of rehearsed this, so I think we know what we're doing. So here we go. So Craig, go ahead and get into the first position. So the first position we're going to do is hip adduction. And what he's going to do is he's going to drive his knee across his body right here. So we're contracting the adductor muscles right in through here. So the adductor muscles start on the inside part of the knee and they come all the way up and they hook into the pelvis. So when he pushes the knee across, they're concentrically contracting. So that's where we develop a lot of explosion power. And then when he slowly releases the weight coming back into this direction here, what we're doing is eccentrically working them. So we're working them both concentrically and eccentrically. Now, the safety part of this, I really want to make sure that we understand this. It's important that we keep our stomach pulled in, and we don't want to have a lot of extensions. So Craig, just demonstrate if we have a lot of big curves back here, and go ahead and now kind of wiggle the whole pelvis as you're doing the exercise. So take your knee across and wiggle. We want to keep this all stable and locked in with the belly pulled in while we're doing this exercise, because we want to target just the adductors. Okay. So he's doing a great job demonstrating this exercise. He's probably getting tired of doing this because his adductors haven't done this much in a long time probably. Okay, very good. Okay, so let's show the abduction. So go ahead and step into the side. Yep, and move this leg just a little bit more forward, Craig. Just get lined up perfectly. Okay. So with this one, all we're doing is we're pushing out to the side. And I want Craig to keep his leg just a little bit more straight. So keep that leg more straight and just push straight to the side now. Very good. So we're working these muscles on the side. We're working the glute medius. We're working the TFL. We're working the muscles on the outside part of the hip here. So we keep going and doing that. Perfect, perfect. We want to make sure we're all stable through the pelvis. The belly's pulled in real tight. We want to make sure that when he does this exercise, when we do the exercise, we don't have knee pain with this. And we want to make sure the pad is above, just slightly above the knee. We don't want it on the knee or below the knee, okay? So, and also when we're doing the adduction one, when we're crossing across, we want to make sure that the pad is below the knee also. Very good, Craig. So let me have you face that direction now. So now we're working the hip flexor muscles. So with this machine here, the axis of rotation is right here. So we always want to line up the axis of rotation with the machine with the hip that he's working. So it's important that that is lined up. And on most machines, you want to make sure there's adjustments that you can make to the machines to make this happen. But just to make sure that the pivot point of the machine lines up perfectly with the pivot point in your body that you're working, which is the hip. So go ahead and demonstrate that. Lift the knee up. He wants to pull the stomach in. He's going to keep his chest perfectly straight like this. We're going to work the muscles in the front here called the hip flexor muscles. And he's going to explode through, which concentrically works the muscle. When he slowly comes back, he eccentrically works the muscle. So we're working all these muscles in the front here, the hip flexor muscles. Very good. And he's keeping his belly pulled in and everything staying pretty stable with his trunk. It's a great exercise. Nice job, Craig. Okay, let's show the hip extension now. So again, all the same stuff here. We want the axis of rotation lined up perfectly in his hip. We want to make sure that the lumbar spine stays as stable as possible. So pulling the belly in is just crucial. We want to make sure his chest doesn't move. Give me an example, a poor example of this exercise. Just lean forward as you do it. Yeah, you lean forward as you do it, or you really arch your back crazy like. Just those are things that you don't want to do. So you keep back's nice and stable, belly pulled in, and then you push the knee back as far as you can. You want the pad above the knee while you're doing this exercise. And all these exercises, we're doing them in sets of 3, about 10 reps per each set. That'll give you a good workout of the hip. So that covers all 4 quadrants of the hip. We had the hip adductors by pulling the leg across. We had the hip abductors by pushing the leg out. We had the hip flexors by pulling them forward. And then we had the glutes and a little bit of the hamstrings by pushing behind, hip extensors. So those are the 4 muscles of the hip. It's a great way to train. This machine is a very good way to train the hip in a open chain type of system. So if we want to work the hip muscles in a closed chain, then we go to our lunge patterns or to our squat patterns, things like that. But this is great for open chain. So there you go. There's the 4 quadrant strengthening of the hip using the hip machine. And I hope you gleaned some important information from this. I hope you train safe by pulling your belly in. And thanks for watching the video.